Hello guys, and welcome to another video on my channel. In this one I'm going to show you how to master daily AC, and the combo I'm going to be showing you for today and for this week's combo is at the Tokyo Expressway South Counterclockwise circuit, and we are once again in the Group 3 car category. So what I'm going to be showing you in this video is, first of all, I'm going to be going over the race settings and what I think the fireable cars will be for this race and time trial. After that I'll go into my fastest qualifying lap, and then I'll show you the rough references I was using to get the lap time I will be showing you. After that, and finally, I'll be going into the race one with some commentary in the background, showing you what I'm doing and trying to describe to the best of my ability of what I was planning to do, what you should be planning to do, what you should be doing with your tyres, the strat, etc. But before I get into it, I would like to say thanks for huge support recently. I've just got over 2.5k subs now, which is greatly appreciated as always. But without further ado, if you could leave a like and a sub as well, if you enjoy and find this video helpful, then I would appreciate that as well. But without further ado, let's get into it. So, as you can see, like I said already, we are in the Group 3 cars at this Tokyo Expressway South Counterclockwise circuit, and now I'm going to be going over the racing. So, it is 11 laps, and it's a 16 car grid. Sorry, it's a 16 car grid as always for daily AC, and it's a rolling start, unsurprisingly. Now, for fuel consumption is ×3, and the tyre wear is ×4. For fuel, we shouldn't have to worry about. A car or two we might have to worry a bit on fuel, such as Citroen GT or the Porsche VGT, but I wouldn't suggest the Porsche VGT anyways. So you shouldn't really have to worry about fuel at all. Tyre wear, again, it's not high tyre wear considering it's a night race, so the temps are quite low, or it's lower than it should be if it was in daylight. So the tyre wear isn't too high here, even with some high speed handling corners on this track. We are using racing hards and racing medium tyres, and we have to use both the tyres in this race. It's a high-speed BOP, and we are allowed to change the brake balance, and that's it. DR's on, SR's on, light mechanical damage, weak shortcut penalty, and weak wall collision penalty, which I've not actually seen yet with the wall collision penalty. So I don't actually know if it's on or not, but from what I've seen, I've not seen any yet. And of course, penalty for collision, and be careful, of the pit lane entry, since the pit lane line cutting penalty is also on. If you cut the yellow line, you'll get a 3-second penalty, which will cost you more than 3 seconds in the actual race. So make sure you don't cut the pit entry line at all, but I'll be showing you how I do that. Now for the cars, first of all we're going to go into qualifying time ranking, and as you can see on this leaderboard, it is completely dominated by the Toyota Supra, just because you need a lot of high-end speed, top end speed, and you also need medium and high speed handling on this track, which the Supra does all that very well. And even through the slow speed corners, even though it doesn't have good acceleration, it's at least very stable, so you can get on the power very early in this car, which is why you're seeing the Supra dominate this whole leaderboard down to Valerio Gallo, who is a World Tour driver and a world champion down in P19. But as you can see from my time, I've used a Jaguar F-Type and I did a 155.842. So a good 5 tenths off the world record, but for a non-meta car, I think it's a decent lap to show you guys. And in fact, I'm third that's not in the Supra, and I'm the first car that's not in either Honda or the Supra. So I do think this lap is a good one to show you guys. So for TT, I'd basically only recommend the Supra. I'd maybe, if you don't want to use Supra, NSX will be okay, the F-Type will be okay, the Audi R8 will be okay, but I think outside that you're going to really start to struggle competing against Supra in time trial. Now for the race, in my opinion, there is a few usable cars. Obviously the most dominant car you'll be seeing is the Toyota Supra, since it's just dominating the leaderboard and it has amazing straight line speed, so you'll easily be able to defend and overtake in this car compared to 95% of the other Group 3 cars. But I'm going to show you what cars I would probably say that I think could be fireable. So first of all, I think the 296 could potentially be fireable, since it's got really good handling and it's got decent upper end speed. However, it's got really slow acceleration, so you will be vulnerable to overtakes and you won't be able to defend well, but it should be really good on tyres for the end of the race if you were to start on the hard tyres. Next car I would maybe recommend for the race that's not the Super is the Citroen by GT. Unsurprisingly, really good on tyres, has decent handling, has decent acceleration and top end, and it's got good brakes as well. It's not going to be faster than the Super than that, but it'll have good tyres at least. Next car I'd recommend is the Audi R8. Again, it should be okay on tyres. It may struggle a touch on rears, but the front should be really good on this car. And it handles nicely, and it's got decent upper end acceleration as well. And it's got really good traction as well. Next car I'd recommend is the Mazda RX Vision. Again, good on tyres, decent high-speed handling, decent high-speed acceleration. Not as good as the Super, of course, but it's not much worse than it. Not an easy car to drive though, but if you can handle it, it should be decent. In fact, I did use it in a race earlier today, and I did decent in it. Next car I would personally recommend in the race potentially is the Ford GT. Doesn't have the best early acceleration, but it's got good top speed. Its handling's not great, but it's not terrible. But it's got good top end, so you may be able to overtake going into the hairpin, and you may be able to defend out the hairpin as well if it's long first gear. Next car I'd maybe recommend is the Renault RS01. From memory, that car has always been decent high-speed BOP, especially on the handling track, since it's got really good high-speed handling. It's got decent top end. It just suffers with a slow acceleration initially. So yeah, should be decent, but I don't think it'll be the best. Next car, NSX. Unsurprisingly, it's the second best car on the leaderboard at the moment. It's got decent top speed. It's got okay handling. It's got good traction. It does suffer a bit with a slow speed acceleration. But other than that, should be good. Which leads me to the last car on this list, and what you'll actually see me be using in the race, the Suzuki BGT over here. Good tyre wear, decent top speed, decent acceleration, actually really good acceleration I should say. Okay handling and okay brakes. So it will suffer a bit in S1 and S3, but I'm betting S2 of course. It suffers a bit everywhere to be honest, but it'll have good tyres for the end of the race. Which is why I would recommend it personally. But without further ado, let's get into my quali lap. Cheers, guys. Alrighty guys, so hopefully you enjoyed the lap I've just shown you. Now I'm going to show you the rough references I was using for that lap. I would say the key word for this is getting as close to the inside barrier as possible. The reason for that is because at least for me. When I felt like I just missed the inside of the corner. So when I'm saying that, I mean I'm like not as close to the wall as I can be. To me, it felt like I started to understeer quite a bit wide. So I was either having to lift mid corner and not have as good of an exit, or I just understeer too wide and hit the barrier on the exit and lose a bit of exit speed there as well. Which is why I think that is the key word here. If you know the racing line, you'll feel a lot more grip. So you may take a bit of practice to get good at it, but when you do multiple laps of it, you'll start to get used to how to drive this track, and you'll be able to push to the limits a lot more, and hopefully you can get a bit more consistent that way as well. But let's get into this lap. So like I said, I'm in the Jaguar F-Type for this lap, for this 155.842 I think it was. First corner. Easy reference. First corner, I broke right on this 50. Literally right on this 50, I brake, and then you're going to see me downshift third quite aggressively, and I'm going to be turning as soon as I get down to fourth gear, I think it was. And I'm aiming to get as close to the inside barrier as possible, because that's where the grip is, and I was aiming to be about 111 miles an hour into the corner. You do need to trail brake quite a bit into this corner to get the car turning in, at least in the Jaguar F-Type. And when I say trail braking, I mean 40 or 50% braking from memory. This next corner, we'll skip forward a bit. Oh, sorry, that's the end of the lap. My apologies, guys. There we go. This next corner, so there's this 150 marker here, there's this 100 marker here, but well, I'm not using those as references. You can use those as references so you can see your reference you'll be using more clearly. But what I was actually using is, you go past this 150 marker and you use this lamppost before this 100 marker. That is the perfect braking reference for this corner, in my opinion, at least in the F-Type. So I've just started braking now, and you'll see I'll easily make the corner. So basically I'm going to be braking a straight line. As soon as I get past the 50 marker, you'll see I'll start to turn a bit to the right, to the line, and try hit the inside apex with my right wheels without trying to cut too much, because I think the car will oversteer a bit if you try to cut a bit of the inside of the right-handers, basically going off track. And I was aiming for this first part to be about 60 miles an hour from memory. So you don't really want to be more on the inside than that personally. So 60 miles an hour here. Let the car just roll and coast nice and smoothly. Maybe put a little bit of throttle on, like 10% or so, just to keep it stabilized in some cars. As soon as I get halfway around this first part, I pick up the throttle gently. In the F-Type, I actually go initially on an 80% throttle, just to try get my car a bit more rotated around the corner, so I can carry a bit more speed in the second corner. But once I did the 80% throttle blips, I will then go back down to about 40% throttle, I believe, just to slowly pick up the speed and keep the car rotating around the corner nicely. Keep it like that. As soon as you get around the second part of this corner, carry on turning to the right fully, basically. Just pick up a bit more throttle, just so that you can hit this third corner here, this third corner of this section, I should say. If you just pick up the speed, you won't have to change your steering or anything. And for that corner, I believe you want to take it at about 72 miles an hour from memory. 72, 73, something like that. And you want to aim to have your left tyres touch this red and white curb. So you basically want to cut this corner as much as possible, just so that you can pick up the throttle early and do this last part of this section flat easily. Cut this a bit again. As long as you've got your right wheels on this red and white curb, it's not in, you won't get a penalty. So cut this as much as possible. But if you do go over it, be careful on your steering, because you will lose grip. So you will need to put less steering in if you are going to be going off the track a bit. I see I had a bit of a slide on this lap. This corner, okay, yes. So there's this 50 marker here. You go past the 50, you go past this lamppost. It may be hard to see it at first, but the braking reference I was using was this little square bit on this guardrail bit here. That is my braking reference for this corner. Basically, as soon as I get past here, I'm going to be braking. So right now, and I'm going to be turning to the right immediately because it's cambered. You need to be as close to the inside barrier as possible. You want to be taking this corner about 101 miles an hour. I'm not really ever going 100% braking here, or all I'm doing is about 60% braking input, just so that my car slows down and rotates into the corner nicely. This bit is easy flats all the way until this hairpin here. I will say get as close to this inside barrier as possible initially, just so that you're minimising distance, and that could gain you 100th or so it's worth doing. This corner, this is 150 marker right here, and there's also this little bit you go under here. I basically directly between the 150 and under the bridge. If you're not really good at that, all I'd say is I'd brake at least a car length after this 150. Maybe a car length and a half, I would say. Past this 150. That's when I started to brake. So any second now. There you go. I'm braking here. As you can see, the 150's here. I'll take car length and a half after this 150 in the F-Type is where I broke for this corner. In the Super, you'd probably have to brake a touch earlier, maybe just a car length after a 150 marker. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing it in sort of a V shape. So I'm going to be hitting this first part of the apex, going a little bit deep in, so that I can have more of an angle out of the corner, more of a straight line out of the corner, I should say. So I won't have to fight the oversteer as much, since I won't be having to put as much steering to get out of the corner. So I don't hit the apex at all if possible, but get close to the apex initially, go a touch deep in, and then try to get close to the last part of this apex as you straighten up and accelerate out of the corner. For this corner, I was aiming to be about 40 miles an hour from memory, and I'm going to be exiting in second gear in this car. Most cars will probably be first gear. Super, the Jag, etc. will be second gear, in my opinion. Be careful on your steering and throttle on the exit. If you full throttle it, be very careful on your steering, because you could easily aim to steer and crash into the barrier. But for the last sector, by far the hardest sector on this track, this bit, there's this 50 marker, and then there's these little lights, LED lights on the barrier here. I used that as my braking and turning point. So I'm just starting to turn now. I'm going to be braking any second now. Any second. Wow, I really did brake late on this lap, didn't I? There you go. I'll brake here. So the third LED bit, that is where I broke for this corner. And I was aiming to be about 123 miles an hour from memory. Get as close to the inside barrier as well. And you want to exit this first part halfway between the left and the right side of the track. I do kind of go a touch deep here, or I turn a touch late on this particular lap. If I did one of the two earlier, then I would have been really close to the barrier and I would be able to carry a touch more speed. So I definitely lost probably about half a tenth here. This left part I turned as soon as I got to this black box bit here, and I did a little dab of the brakes down. I don't remember the speed, but basically I think it was 120 again. Get as close to the inside barrier again, since it's slightly cambered, and it opens up the right part of this S bit here. So right here, get as close to this barrier, and then as soon as the car straightens up, turn to the right again, get as close to the inside barrier again. Similar speed, about 120, maybe slightly less, maybe 118 miles an hour on this corner. Last corner, I broke directly on 50. It depends how good you did this last part of this corner though. Brake at the 50, I did mess it up a bit and I probably should have broke a bit later. I broke now, I could have realistically broke maybe a quarter of a car length later. Get as far to the right as possible before you turn into the corner on the left. And you're going to be aiming to be about 93 miles an hour in this car on this last corner. I braked very early unfortunately, and I could have picked up the throttle early, so I definitely lost a temp on this corner in my opinion, which is why I think a 0.6 is possible in this car. But without further ado, a 155.842. A solid lap in this car, but now I'm going to go into the race and commentate it in the background. Cheers guys. Right, so now I'm going to be showing you a race that I did earlier today, and as you can see I am using the Suzuki Gr3 VGT. What I'm going to be showing you in this section of this video is I'm going to be showing you the whole race, and I'm going to be talking about my thought processes and what I think the viable strats are for this race, and talking a bit more about the cars that I recommend. So first of all, the strategy. So if you remember, it's times for fuel, which we don't have to worry about, and times for tyre. We have to use both the racing hard tyre and the racing medium tyre. In my opinion, at least with the time of day on this track and that, the tyre is quite low on this track, so in my opinion it is the best to get maximum usage out of the medium tyre. If you're able to tyre save the mediums, it should always be faster than the hard tyre, at least in the Super GT that I am showing you now. In the Super, it might be better to do 10 laps on the mediums and 1 lap on the hards. Now you might be asking, well, that's the max laps you can do anyway on the mediums, since you happen to do a lap on the hards to use both tyres. However, because where the pit is on this track, you can actually pit halfway through lap 11 and just change the hard tyres at the end of the race if you wanted to, which is what I would recommend to do if you are able to tyre save really well, especially when you are using people slipstreams to keep up and just tyre save, etc. So since I started on the hards this race, I'm coming into the pit on lap 1, and I will say right now, for that corner where I'm braking for the pit entry is, if you remember my time trial lap, when I mentioned the thing, going under the thing, past the 150 marker, I basically use that as a braking reference. With slipstream, I'd probably recommend to brake just before going under this sign, or under the bridge bit, and as long as you're not quite inside of the yellow line, you shouldn't get a 3-second penalty. As long as you don't get all 4 wheels over the outside yellow line, I believe that's also not a penalty. Even if you have 2 wheels crossing out the outside yellow line, you won't get a penalty for it. Just to let you know that now. So, now that we've done and talked about the strat in this race, so what I'm basically trying to say with strat is either do 10 laps mediums or 11 laps mediums, and you can start on either tyre, to be honest. If on the front, especially in the early lobbies, I would definitely recommend to start on the medium tyres, because what I found in this race is when I started on the hard tyres in some races, when I was on the medium stint, I did catch up to the few people that hadn't pitted yet halfway through the race, and we lost probably 2-3 seconds of race time just trying to navigate through the traffic. So that's why, in my opinion, especially in lower lobbies, even if you start in top 3, top 4, I'd probably start on the medium tyres and use the other people's medium pace advantage from the people that started ahead of you, just to tyre save, stay in the slipstream, maybe bump draft them if you're close enough to bump them and help them a bit on the straight, just to defend yourself from the other strategies from the other drivers in your race. So now I've talked about the strat, now I'm going to be talking to you about the cars that I thought were viable for us today. So from memory, I mentioned the Ferrari 296 for Toyota Supra, of course, which is the Meta, especially in time trial. I also mentioned the Ford GT, the 65 GT, the Mazda RX Vision. I'm trying to remember what else I said. I said the Audi R8 as well, and I think that was it from memory. Let me know if I didn't mention any other car. I should have maybe mentioned the Huracan as well. I think that car could do okay. I've also mentioned the Renault RS01, I just remembered that. But anyway, so for cars like the RS01, the Audi R8 and the Lamborghini Huracan, I think those cars are viable because they have good front tyre wear, since most of their weight of the car is on the rear of the car. They'll be wearing its rears out compared to the fronts. And those cars tend to handle decently. They don't have the best straight line speed, but as long as they're able to keep up in the slipstream, maybe go for a move at the end of the race and try out traction them or out accelerate them out of a hairpin, which is where the MRs will be good at. Which is why I recommend those 3 cars. And they're probably slightly easier to drive as well compared to the Toyota Supra, at least for optimal pace, because the Toyota Supra, for example, with its turbo lag, you're basically having to be 100% throttle on the exits. Otherwise, if you're not, you're just going to be losing so much time on the exit, since you're going to have to wait for the turbo to kick in again if you lift off in the middle of a corner, etc. So other cars I mentioned the Suzuki BT that I'm in now. The reason I recommend that car is because it can easily keep up with a Super in the slipstream. May not be as quick as it on the straights or in corners in fact, but it has very good tyre wear and it has very good acceleration out of a hairpin, which is why I would recommend the Suzuki as an anti-meta for this race in my opinion. Another car I mentioned was the 4296. Actually has reasonably similar attributes to the Super, but just an MR, so it'll have better tyre wear on the front. It has slow acceleration, has decent top end, and it has really good handling as well. Maybe struggling to defend though, that's the only problem for Ferrari. You'd basically have to be going from the front if you were to use the 296, in my opinion. Well, I mentioned the Mazda RX Vision, kind of similar to Suzuki in a sense, but it handles better. Has slightly worse top end and acceleration, and I do think it also has slightly worse brakes, but it has very similar tyre wear to the Suzuki in my opinion, so that's why I think it's viable. And again, if you're able to save tyres, you should be able to attack with the Mazda on the last laps, go into the hairpin for example, or into turn 2, etc. That's basically it in terms of what I think viable cars are. I actually just remembered another car which I didn't mention at all, which is the Nissan Silhouette. As stupid as it sounds, the reason I think the Nissan Silhouette will be good is because that car has ridiculous acceleration, but for me it's not even the acceleration that makes that car so good. For me it's just the tyre wear. Since it's so light and it just doesn't have good handling, it just doesn't use its tyres, so it would easily have like twice better tyres than the Super at the end of the race. Just because it's so light and it can basically save its fronts very easily that way. And it should be able to keep up with the faster cars. It may struggle a bit in the last sector of the faster speed corners to try to keep up, so you may have to push a bit more in that car in that sector compared to other cars, but other than that it should be good here. And I also just remembered the 4GT. The reason I mentioned the 4GT is because that car has just as good top end as a Super in my opinion, but it's also a bit more stable I'd say. It does have worse handling and I do think it has worse brakes as well. However, if you're able to keep it in the super slipstream, like I mentioned earlier in other cars, you should be able to attack into the hairpin and or the first corner or the second corner of a lap. And it should have that tyre wear as well, maybe slightly better. But without further ado, that is it in terms of what I think the viable cars are. So now I'm going to be showing you and trying to describe to you my thought processes, what you should be doing with your tyres, how much steering, etc. And basically the psychological gains of this race, I should say. So basically, first of all I'm going to mention about where I am mainly saving tyres for this race. So, as you may not have already noticed, as you can see on the screen right now, the front left is starting to wear out slightly faster more than the front right, which basically tells you that that is the tyre you'll want to be saving for this race, the front left especially. Ideally, if you can, try to look after your front right as well, just so that you have the best possible tyres for the end of the race. But the majority of your tyre savings should be in your right hand corners, especially in the fast corners like the corner we're in now. That's one of the highest tyre curves on this track, just because it's a banked corner and you're having to do quite a bit. So try to tyre save there as much as possible. But basically, since there's more right-handers, especially fast right-handers, that's why the front left takes the beating around this track. So you're wanting to save the tyres in the fast right-handers especially. So basically what I'm going to be talking to you now is how much steering I'm roughly putting into each corner throughout the lap. So turn 1 is a left-hander. I roughly put about 60% of my steering inputs into that corner, because I do want to save a bit of front right tyre on that corner since it's a fast left-hander. So that corner you can definitely save a bit of tyres, and you don't want to overheat the tyres if you can help it. So in my opinion it is worth tyre saving a bit on that corner, even though it's a left-hander. Turn 2, I'm not really tyre saving to be honest. However, what I will say is try to not brake and turn if possible. And when I say brake and turn, I mean putting 100%, 80% braking while turning right for the turn 2, turn 3, etc. If you can trail brake down to about 40%, you shouldn't be putting load into your front left tyre, even though you're braking a bit. But you should still be able to go around the corner nicely at a good speed by doing that, while not putting much strain and stress into the front left tyre. Turn 3, same as turn 2, just turn, but try to limit the steering if possible. But since it's supposed to be corner controller, you're basically having to put near 100% steering in just to get it turning. Turn 4, again, try to start steering a bit less for that corner, maybe 80% steering if you can. Try to cut a bit on the inside as well, just say about for turn 5, even though it's left-hander. The less steering you can do, the better, which is why I would recommend to try cut a bit of turn 4, even if you may suffer with a slight bit of oversteer going over the dirty part of this track. Turn 5, is it turn 5? No, turn 6, sorry. I put about 40 to 50% steering into that corner, and you want to be trail braking 30 to 40% ideally if you can. If you put any more brakes than that, you're going to start to put a lot more load into the front left tyre, and that's when you're going to start to overheat the front left tyre and put a bit more tyre wear into that tyre. The next corner I'll talk about, even though it's not technically turn 7, is the hairpin, since the other corners between the banked right-hander and the hairpin is easy flat, even in slipstream. Obviously just try and minimise the steering as much as possible, but you should be doing that anyway. But for the hairpin, I'm not really tyre saving, but what I will say is when you start to really slow the car down into the hairpin, try to trail brake as much as possible or completely coast the car. So you put even a bit of braking input in as you're turning around a very slow speed corner. You will start to feel, at least on me with my adaptive triggers, I can feel my L2 vibrate a bit, or a bit more tension, so that I have to put a bit more. I can basically feel the L2 more if I feel like I put a bit too much braking while turning, doing the hairpin. So basically what I'm trying to say is, if you are using adaptive triggers and you can feel your L2 vibrate a bit while you're braking and turning, try to get off the brakes as soon as you start to feel that, and that way you're not putting and stressing the front left tyre, and plus it's faster anyway, since you're not braking, you're able to do your 100% turning input without your brakes influencing the steering, etc. So turn 8, or whatever corner, after the hairpin is the right-hander in the S3, the first corner of S3. I'm doing about 30% steering for that corner when I can, especially in slipstream. And again, I'm doing about 40% braking, similar to turn 7, I think it was. Since it's a very fast corner, you want to really limit your steering there, and you want to try to lower your throttle a bit as well. So if you go full throttle a bit early, you're going to be putting a lot of load into your front left tyre, which is why you're seeing I'm coasting a bit while I'm going round the right-hander like you just saw now, just to not put not to overheat my front left basically, and put a lot of load into it. Left-hander, after it I am tyre saving a bit again. Use the camber to basically make use of your tyre saving there. Again, even though it's a left-hander, as much tyres you can save, even with your right-hand side tyres, it will help if you're last out battling, because you may be able to brake slightly later, and if you're going to be able to take it into less speed corners, such as maybe either the last corner or the second corner of S3, if you're going side by side, you should have a bit of an advantage going around the corners, so you might be able to hedge ahead of your competitors just by saving on the left-handers when you not even need to. The last right-hander, so the second last corner, the corner immediately after this left part of the S's. Again, I'm doing about 30 to 40% steering. I am literally dapping the brakes just to get the car slowed down enough, and I'm immediately turning to the right as soon as I've dapped the brakes, just to get that little rotation as I release the brakes. And yeah, again 30 to 40% steering if possible, since you're taking very similar speed to the first Gr3. You don't want to be putting a lot of strain and everything in the front left tyre on that corner. And that takes us to the last corner, which is left-hander. Again, try to save that tyre if possible, on that corner if possible. So I was doing about 60% steering for that corner. And what I will say is, especially with my adaptive triggers, I could really feel the R2 vibrate a bit when I was going, putting a bit too much steering on the last corner. Since on that corner you are turning and using the throttle quite a lot, and you are actually having to do quite a bit on that corner, even on the exit, since it does tighten up a bit as you get around the corner on the outside barrier. So try to limit your steering as much as possible, and just get as close to the inside barrier as possible. So if you start to feel like you're going to be understeering ride, you will be understeering ride, and you will either touch the outside barrier, or you'll just have to put more steering in and you'll just hurt your tyres on your own. So with that is how to tyre save, or how to theoretically tyre save around each corner around this track. So now, for the last 6 or so minutes of this video, so the last 3 laps or so, I'm now going to be talking about the race psychology for this race. So, say you are at the back of the grid, quite a few people will probably be starting on the hard tyres, just to try follow the leader, stay in the slipstream trainer, etc. However, in my opinion, in this race, starting on the mediums can work, since people are pitting halfway through lap 1 or even halfway through lap 2 to go onto the medium tyres for this race. If you feel like you can do a faster race than them before the start of the race, then in my opinion it is worth a punt starting on the mediums potentially. Obviously, the more races you do, the more you'll know whether starting on the hards or mediums is better for you. But what I am saying is both tyres is fireable no matter where you're starting for this race basically. But what I will say is, if you're racing from the back, try to bump draft, try not to lose too much time battling. Basically the only time I'd maybe be going for moves when starting from the back is in the hairpin, towards where the pit entry is, or where the pits is in general, and turn 2, if they are not defending on the inside. If they are defending the inside for at least turn 2, I wouldn't even bother trying to go side by side through there, since the inside will always win. Since there is 3 right-handers in a row, you're basically not going to have much chance trying to hang it around the outside. So if they are defending on the inside for turn 2, just lift off, let them take the corner like they usually would, just to minimise the time loss basically. And then basically other than that, just tyre safe behind the people, and maybe learn a thing or two from them and use that to your advantage towards the end of the race, and attack them basically whether you pitted or not, just to basically save tyres, have the best tyres possible so that you can be a bit more aggressive with your moves. Since you'll have a tyre advantage, you'll most likely win out the battle. If you're starting from the front like I was here, then again starting on mediums or hards can work. In my opinion, if you were to start on the mediums, make sure you have at least one other car at the front of the grid that that is also starting on mediums with you, just so that you can bull draft each other, save tyres behind the leader, or if you are the leader, just tyre save like I mentioned before, but don't over tyre save like you're just costing yourself too much time and you're going to get undercutted by the people on the other strategy, or strat, sorry, I should say. As you see here, I started to battle the digit a bit here because I basically felt like I had better tyres and I could maybe break away from him, but since Damien's close behind, I didn't want to go side by side with him on this corner, because if I was to not be able to get ahead of him for this corner, he could have potentially gone around the outside of me, etc., going into the next following corners, etc. So basically, all you need to know is, no matter where you're starting, no matter the tyre you're starting, try limit your battles, use people's slipstream to save tyres, especially on the medium sim anyway. On the hard tyres then, just push every corner since you won't be using them for long, and there's very little tyre on the hards. You're using the hards for maybe maximum of 2 laps, so just push on your hard tyres. And on the medium tyres, just tyre safe where possible to have the best possible tyres at the end of the race. Here, Damien is going to go on my inside here. I didn't defend it because I wanted to stay in digit 16 and I wanted to potentially lose minimal time and try to outbrake him and take the normal corner. However, I broke a touch too late and Damien was still on my inside, so he very nicely took the position there. However, there is still one very long flat section to go, so I knew even the wind was still on here. So I made sure to get a decent exit out of this corner, not touch the barrier, and there we go, we were within 2 tenths of Damien, who's probably within 3 tenths of digit ahead of him. So now it's going to be a 3-way battle for the win, since the first and second place guys have not pitted and they're going to be pitting now. They're only 8 seconds ahead of us. The pit lane, the pit delta here is about 15 seconds. So I knew anyway, that we were about 7 or 8 seconds ahead of those two that are just pitting now. So I see Damien and Digit going side by side here, so I thought I'd go for the exit. I did get a bit of movement, and I could maybe accelerate slightly earlier. However, since the Suzuki has such good acceleration, I close up to him, and I decided to try to go down the inside of Digit. Since I'm not there really, I backed out of it, hoping there would be a bit of contact ahead, which there was, so I tried to go around the outside of Damien here. Fortunately, this master just handles better, and I did mistime my turning slightly, so Damien could easily tuck into the right-hander and stay ahead of me. Well, without further ado, you guys, I'm going to end the video here now. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments below. I will answer to the best of my ability. I would also appreciate a like and a subscribe as well. So more videos like these will be produced. But without further ado, you guys, good luck in your races, have fun, and I'll see you later, guys. Thank you, and goodbye.